Victor Iverson to the principal's office, please. Victor Iverson to the principal's office.
Well, we certainly welcome everyone to this, the Washington County Board of Commissioners meeting for today, the second day of April 2024. We are currently, well, we see a lot of visitors and we welcome you. Everyone should wear a tiara next time, okay? But this is awesome. Well, grateful to have you here. Our routine matters begin first by an invocation. We'd love to have Tim Martin of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints here, part of our Interfaith Council, and we sure appreciate you.
I'll brag a little bit. The Interfaith Council on Good Friday joined with the Catholic Church for the Stations of the Cross, which is a worldwide celebration. Ours is actually called the Ecumenical Way of the Cross because there's 15 stations where there were 300 to 350 people, and we stop and you read and interact and progress from where Christ was persecuted and then to Golgotha and then the resurrection. And of the 15 stations, 13 of the readers were from the Interfaith Council.
Wow.
So we had, all these different churches here in St. George in Washington County represented. And it was just really a great spirit of togetherness on a very, very wonderful day, Good Friday. So that spirit continues. It's delightful to be here, and everybody really enjoys being with the Washington County for the prayers and to just be part of this community. So if you'll join me in prayer, please. Our Father in heaven, we are so thankful this day to be part of this wonderful county, to be part of this wonderful piece of the world. We're thankful for the water that we've received and pray for more rain. We're thankful for the commissioners and the staff that work so hard to make our lives better, and we pray that they might feel that appreciation, that they might know that the effort and the time that they put in is appreciated and is important. We're thankful for those who have worked hard to prepare for today's meeting, and we ask Thy Spirit and inspiration to be with them, that they might recall all those things and be able to present them in a manner that will be happy and good for them and good for all the members of the county. We're thankful for the many blessings that we enjoy. We're thankful for the good spirit that we enjoy as we visit together as members of this great community. We ask a blessing now upon all those who might participate this day, all those who are here visiting, that they might truly enjoy the spirit of this wonderful place. And these blessings we ask in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Tim, thank you so much, and best to your council and leadership. Next, we'd love to have our Pledge of Allegiance led by Stetson Taylor of the Junior ROTC. Stetson, welcome. We'll follow your lead.
I pledge allegiance.
Oh, you want this?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Stetson.
Stetson, thank you. Great. Our consent agenda is a means of expediting the consideration of routine matters. If a commissioner requests that items be removed from the consent agenda, those items are placed at the beginning of the regular agenda. Other than requests to remove items, a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda is not debatable.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda as follows. A, consideration of auditor approved claims for payment for March 20th, 2024 through April 2nd, 2024. B, consideration of commission meeting minutes of March 19th, 2024. C, consideration of administrative adjustments for real property. And D, consideration of administrative adjustments for personal property. E, acknowledgement of adoption of ordinances number 2024-1252-0, published on Sunday, March 24th, 2024. F, consideration of amendment to the Five County Association of Governments Community Action Partnership Social Services Block Grant. And that is my motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. No division of the items. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. All right, our regular agenda begins with item number 1, is a presentation of our year in review video, Best Value for Taxpayers, number 5 of 12. Adam has a prepared speech.
Yeah, I've done this now 4 other times, so I'll do this real quick. These are, in lieu of doing a state of the county, these videos are a little bit more engaging way and a little bit better way to show by going out to places where we may be building reservoirs or moving around. We're using the modern novelty of video technology to give a state of the county update on 2023 as well as what we're working on in 2024. This is a 12-part series, and so this is part number 5, talking about tax in Washington County.
Another celebration that we have for 2023 is an award that Washington County received as the best county value to the taxpayer. This was an award that we won from the nonprofit, the Utah Taxpayers Association, in a publication that they put out ranking all of the counties in Washington County. We feel like we're really proud of this award, where we're able to deliver the services of county government in both a disciplined way with your taxpayers' money. But in reality, this is a celebration for all of us because we represent you. We actually are reflecting your values when we're disciplined with your tax dollars, when we're making sure that we're both efficient and useful as county government. This was a great celebration we had this year.
The summary of the cost of the county report that Commissioner Iverson just referenced can be done like this. We're number 1. I wish I had a big foam finger. But the honest truth is that the county commissioners are tightwads. We are fiscally responsible, very fiscally conservative when it comes to your tax dollars. We treat those as sacred because we know that somebody had to go work for that. Somebody was away from their family. They put blood, sweat, tears, and effort into their job. And then government took a portion of that to fund the resources and the services that we, the citizens, have said that we need. But we don't take that responsibility lightly. And so we look for every possible way, even in times like this, with high, rampant inflation due to federal policies and costs that hurt the taxpayers as well as the county when we try and provide those services. It still costs us the same amount for gasoline that it costs everybody else, or for tires on fire trucks, and all of the other services that we have to provide. So we are extremely fiscally responsible when it comes to your tax dollars, and we treat those as sacred so that we know we're using them the way you would if you were in our seat. And because of that, that's why we got ranked number 1 in both the revenue as well as how we spend your tax dollars as your county commissioners. Meaning that we take in the least amount of revenue of any county in the state and we spend it better than any other county in the state. And that means that instead of just raising taxes because, hey, we need some more money, times are tight, we need to replenish some of that revenue. Instead of doing a tax raise, we look for every possible way that we can to tighten our belts, to save, and to make each dollar stretch a little bit further, the same way you do at your home when things get tight for you, so that we don't have to put an additional burden on your backs unnecessarily.
As commissioners and elected officials, we care about your tax dollars. Let's face it, you budget in your families, and we had to budget. But how do we maintain that high quality of life in your homes and the services that a county provides? We look at the same things that you do. Everyone has been hit hard by inflation, including the very things that we have to pay for. But we're paying for it with your dollars. Early on, as we started this budget process, which we've just barely wrapped up, we saw that we were $6.3 million over in the requests that came to us from departments, elected officials, and other facilities and services that we provide. We took over 1,500 hours combined, our efforts with commissioners and with those department heads, as well as our budget committee that put in so much time to make sure that every ounce of effort could be made to find the dollars we needed to make up that deficit. We accomplished it. If 2022 was a difficult year and 2023 tighter, looking forward to 2024, it was even more challenging. I promise you, every penny has been looked at, every line item in every budget. And thanks to those who helped to say, we can forego that expense or we can continue to make something work. Our commitment to services and to infrastructure has never changed. We promise you that as you drive down a road and that you're, especially whether in a city or in the county, that you ask yourselves a couple of questions. Who paid for that street light? Who paid for that asphalt? Who paid for the police and fire? All the services and things that you enjoy. Well, guess what? You did. But those things have to still be budgeted for. At Washington County, we are absolutely 100% dedicated to finding where we can save and still serve you, the public, also well-deserving public.
When the Utah Taxpayers Association made their list and awarded Washington County as the best value, they did it by doing comparisons. And Washington County's comparison on taxes charged per household is quite different. It's $402 per household in Washington County compared with $1,232 per resident across the state. We accomplish this in a team effort. It's important to recognize that the Washington County Commissioners, the three of us, working together with our other elected officials, as well as our other department heads, really have a mentality of frugality when it comes to the citizens' tax dollars. And by doing this, by having this culture, that's how we're able to be the best tax value in Utah. So every budget season, every time we're putting our budget together, it's a team effort. It's an effort with our elected officials, as well as our department heads and our hardworking county employees guarding your tax dollars.
So we'd like to thank the Utah Taxpayers Association and the award that Washington County received. But I can tell you that we don't rest on those laurels. We promise that we will continue to be tightwads, because I think that's what Washington County residents want. We will continue to take care of our people, the good public servants that work in this building and at the sheriff's office and at the jail and around the county that serve you. We will continue to provide the services that we, the citizens of Washington County, have said that we want. We will continue to provide the services that the state law mandates we provide. But we will do that with frugality. The Budget Committee will spend just as much time in 2024 preparing the 2025 budget, probably more. We will continue to look at every single penny, to save, to tighten our belts, to do more with less, so that we
Have them stand up and introduce themselves. We'll start with the queens and then go down, and then we do have programs for you from our competition. Thank you.
Fun.
Hello, I'm Riley Imlay. I'm Miss Washington County 2024. I might look a little bit familiar to you guys. I was Miss Spirit 2022,
Yes.
first runner-up 2023, so third time's the charm. We finally made it here. So I'm going to Utah Tech, majoring in music ed with a minor in theater. I'm from Hurricane, Utah. I've lived here my whole life, and my CSI is called Project Spread the Hope, and it's encouraging people to make acts of kindness a daily habit while also educating people about mental health. And whether that's how to deal with their own mental health challenges or how to support and understand a loved one who might be struggling. And I'm really excited to get to work with you guys for another year. So thank you so much for your support.
Welcome. Thank you.
Congrats.
Hi Commissioners, I'm your 2024 Miss Greater Zion. My name is Kaylee Ruth. I am from Pleasant Grove, Utah County, so I know that was a little bit down there. I am a criminal justice major where I want to work in Department of Homeland Security and sex crimes against children when I graduate. My community service initiative is Dare to Speak, speaking out about child sexual abuse, where I want to promote child sexual abuse prevention education in Washington County and ultimately in the state of Utah. And I am so excited to work with you guys this year.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I am Brooklyn Cranendonk. I am the first runner-up to the Miss Washington County and Greater Zion Royalty. My CSI is Know Where It's Now, Sexual Assault Awareness and Consent Education. I hope to implement it here in Washington County and as well as Kaylee across the state of Utah and the nation. I'm from here in St. George, and I'm currently getting my associate's degree at UVU Online.
Great. Thanks, Brooklyn.
Good afternoon. How are you guys? Good. So my name is Brooklyn Field, and I am a dental hygiene student at Utah Tech University. I'm from Morgan, Utah. Glad to not see it on the worst categories there. But my service initiative is Hope Squad, which is mental health awareness and suicide prevention in schools. Thank you guys so much.
Welcome, Brooklyn.
Allison, how long have you been the director? 3 years. I think that the entire program is transformed under your leadership. I really, Susie knows this. One time I had this conversation with her, like, don't you think beauty contests are a little outdated, you know? And of course, she didn't tell anybody we had that conversation, but Allison, I think what you've done with Miss Washington County, and we've added a second queen so that we have a little more competition representation at the state level, is just really transform it into just a great example of citizenship. I've been so impressed with the young ladies that have been involved under your leadership, how they represent the county, how they serve the community, and I don't think a lot of people realize how much the program's changed under your leadership and how it's just really become something that everybody can be proud of. And I'm just really proud of all of these young ladies and everybody that competes in your pageant. And they're more than just wearing, what's that? What's those?
Tiara.
Tiaras, yeah. They're more than just the crowns, you know. They really do a fantastic job at interacting with the community. It's been really fun to watch. So, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Susie, for talking me out of trying to defund the. All right. Yes, sure.
And Riley is going to sing. Your talent is as you're singing. Well, thank you again, and enjoy your year.
Looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Our next item is from Christy Pike, who's the director of the Children's Justice Center, and she has a report to us, obligatory report, but we enjoy having you here nevertheless.
Thanks for saying so, whether it's true or not.
So true.
Thanks for allowing me to come and report on our VOCA numbers. We do this every 6 months. I always like to talk about our mission. So this is our first slide every time. And just in case there's anybody new in the room, we collaborate with multidisciplinary partners to protect each child, advance justice, promote healing, and educate our community. So some stats from the calendar year 2023. We served 419 primary victims. We did 292 forensic interviews, 141 medical exams, We completed 109 traumatic stress screenings with an average score of 20.2. Anything over 20 is considered very high risk for traumatic stress. We provided 920 hours of trauma-focused mental health therapy, both in-house and through contracted therapists. And we facilitated 157 in-depth multidisciplinary case reviews. The most common allegation that we saw kids for was child sex abuse or assault. And last year, 110 alleged primary victims were under the age of 7. So, the next part of the report is the part that's required by the Victims of Crime Act, VOCA. That is our money that we get from, it comes through the state, but it's federal money. It is not taxpayer money. It is money that is collected through fines and penalties in federal cases. And it is put into a fund specifically to benefit crime victims. And then we write for grants. That money has been going down, as you've heard me report, over the past years. The current grant cycle goes until June 30th of 2025, so we're good for a while.
Chrissy, we know it's
Yeah.
gone down. You have reported that, but just for the general public, can you say why it's going down?
It's gone down because what has come into the Crime Victims Fund has gone down. They just haven't been having the penalties, the fines. Most of those come from big cases. If you have a corporate company that is fined $11 million, that's where those come from, and we just haven't had them. So they are looking for multiple different ways to try and stabilize funding for that crime victims compensation fund. It'll be really interesting to see where they land, if anywhere. This is Congress.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So let's talk about, we have specific goals that we're reporting on. This is for the first half of the fiscal year. So this is a 6-month time period we're looking at, starting July 1, ending December 31st. So the first category is giving information on the criminal justice process. Our goal was 650. So far in that 6-month period, we've achieved 444. The next was medical exams. The goal was 125. We achieved 60. We see whatever kids need medical exams, so that's how many we saw that needed those exams. Interpreter services. I did not set that goal. That was one of our staff that set that goal. That is really high. 180 is higher than anything we've ever done. So far this year, in the 6 months, we'd achieved 41. Individual counseling sessions, both in-house and contracted. The goal was 1,300. Again, that was an extraordinarily high goal. We've never come anywhere close to that before. We've achieved 373. I think maybe one of the reasons that goal was so high was that we were including Kane County for the first time this year as part of that. And Kane was part of a group of counties that was providing a lot of therapy under their VOCA grant that VOCA decided shouldn't have happened. So, so we're on a much more restricted basis on what we can provide therapy for than we were before. So that's where some of those numbers are coming from. Emergency financial assistance. A goal of 50 is kind of an arbitrary number. We have a pot of $1,500 and we provide emergency financial assistance to whoever needs it. And that might look like a grocery run at Walmart. It might look like some gas money to get to a court date. Somebody who's having severe financial hardships, we can help with a few things. There were 9 so far this year, and we offer that wherever we see that need. So if we don't hit 50, that's okay. We're not trying to give away money. Assist in obtaining protective or restraining orders. The goal was 35. We haven't done any this year, and I'll tell you why. We had a staff member who was really good at these, and everyone from all over the county would send her these to do. She left our organization in July, and it was kind of an extra service that we were providing. It wasn't really a core service, and so while we got our new victim team spun up and getting really good at their core services, we were having police stations, all of which they have victim advocates who can do these. They've been covering those for us. We just got our people trained up in the past couple weeks, so we'll start doing child protective orders again. Submitting crime victims reparations forms. The goal was 45, so far 31. So on track, ahead of track, really. Traumatic stress screeners. These are those screeners that we do with kids where we check for traumatic stress and suicidality. The goal was 160. We've done 56. And let me talk a little bit about our mental health. We have found over the past year that more and more kids who are coming into the Children's Justice Center than we've ever seen before already have kids in therapy. And we don't want to get in the middle of therapy if they have already got a therapist. So that's the reasoning behind that number. Okay, so that was the VOCA report. We got through it. 6 months ago, when I came, I showed you a picture of what our expansion was looking like, and this was the picture. And this morning, I took a new picture, and that's what we look like.
Much better picture.
Yay! So this is our expansion. It's where we'll be moving our medical and mental health services. And on the backside that you can't see, there's a great big training room for our multidisciplinary team, and we're super excited about that. We will be having a ribbon cutting on the 29th at 10 o'clock. Please put it in your calendars. I think Nicole probably already has put it in your calendars, commissioners. But anyone who would like to come, we're welcoming the public. We're excited to show off the new space where we're going to be helping children to heal. We will leave our victim services and our interviewing in our current building. That was what that building was originally designed for. And it does a really good job at those services. We've been making do with the other services in the current building. It's going to be a much better fit to have them in the new facility. So, any questions, comments? But by the way, can I just say thank you, Washington County, for your support of this building. It would not have been happening without your support. I'm going to get verklempt even talking about it. Thank you, and Intermountain providing the land that we're on. So.
Yeah, thank you to Intermountain, and just so anybody knows, I mean, not you, although maybe you did, I honestly don't know, but the attorney's office has dealt with a pretty high-profile case in the last few weeks. There was 2020 and other news organizations have shown on that, and that probably gives just a slight glimpse into what an average day is for you. Now, that was not sexual abuse, which you said is your number one, but abuse of children is a hard thing to watch, and so the work that you guys do is, I think there's a special place in heaven for those that have the ability to take that on, because I don't think most people can. It's hard to watch even the news show for an hour, let alone deal with it sitting face to face. Anytime I've been over there, it's a moving thing that I think everybody should have to go through. That might help solve a lot of the crime, just if they understood a little of what you guys go through in a day. So thank you to you and your entire team. It was an easy thing to support.
We feel your support. We appreciate that. We feel the support of our community. Our Friends Board was able to raise $500,000 toward this building, which is a huge lift in the current climate. Watts Construction has been amazing. MRW Design, great county partners. Nicole has been a lifesaver. Not sure how we would have done it without her, but everyone. I mean, it's been a labor of love for a lot of people, like our work is every day. It is a labor of love. So it's heavy, but it's rewarding, and we love being able to do the work.
Well, that's good, and I do think there is a special place in heaven. Likewise, there's a special place in hell for those people that make you have to have a job at all.
Send them. If you've got that power, Commissioner.
I don't, but I'm working on it. Because I wish you guys didn't have a job.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much, Christy.
All right, our next item is consideration of purchase requests. Ray.
Okay.
How's it going?
Huh?
How's it going?
How's it going? That's all I have. The first one here is for emergency services. This is for flash upgrades for 15 radios with varying requirements. This is an asset for Iron County and is grant covered. This is required by the state, so they can be P25 compliant, which is a new state requirement. This is for $28,432.20. The next few are for our tourism office. This first one is for the Ironman 70.3 advertising campaign for $10,000. The next one is also for an Ironman 70.3 advertising campaign with a different vendor for also $10,000. The next one is for golf course profile video assets. This is for $42,075. This next one is for our HCP, the Habitat Conservation Plan Department. This is for some fencing out at Confluence Park. This is for $58,512.50. And the leasing of the area obtained a ag grant and has offered to pay us that once the money and everything is approved. And so we expect to receive $10,000 back, which is coming up later in the agenda. And then the next one is for building maintenance. This is for a ride-on floor scrubber. Its main purpose will be in the parking structure, but it can be used elsewhere as needed. This is for $25,850. The next one is for the fair. This is for t-shirts and sweaters for the demolition derby for $10,114.84. That is just our portion of it. The company, the Stir and Dirt Racing, who does the demo derby, they are paying the other half. We will also split the profits. The next one is for Legacy Park. This is for an Event Pro software. This will let the users access the calendar, create notes, and streamline booking and invoicing. This is for $22,605. We did look into other options in other departments, seeing if it would work for them, and they're kind of in the Stone Age still, and so this is found to be the best route to go. And unless there's any questions.
No, thank you, Ray, appreciate it. As we mention every week or every meeting, these are all budgeted items. We just, for transparency, bring them forward. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase requests that have been presented to us by Ray.
Second the motion?
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next item is consideration of ordinance number 2024-1253-0, an ordinance updating sections of the county code regarding county commission meetings. Devin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This ordinance does a couple of things. Earlier this year, the legislature made some changes to the open meetings rules for the state. This is state law that governs how public bodies hold public meetings and do the work of the public. As part of that legislation, the definition of convening a meeting was deleted, and so we thought it would be helpful to clarify in the county code how a meeting of the county commissioners is convened, and that's there in the ordinance before you. It's under 151B2. Basically, it's convened with a gathering of the quorum of the Board of County Commissioners after a public notice of the meeting has been provided by the county clerk, auditor. This ordinance also cleans up some provisions. There are some redundant provisions in the county code. This is so regulated by state code that it really just doesn't make sense to have that repeated in our county code. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Really, the main one is the legislature makes changes to the state code periodically. And so by just citing state code in our code, it makes it so we don't have to amend the county code every time the legislature makes adjustments. So that's the ordinance before you.
Very good.
Thank you, Devin. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance number 2024-1253-0, updating sections of the county code regarding county commission meetings.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. Our next item is tabled.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we table item 6 of our agenda.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor of the motion to table item 6, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item 7, consideration of ordinance number 2024-1255-0, an ordinance establishing a temporary land use regulation on zone changes only in the designated area on the attached map generally described as the New Harmony Valley area and only in its unincorporated area.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We've been here before. We are requesting a temporary land use regulation over a small portion of the unincorporated county area. We've described those before for you. They used to be called a moratorium. We're seeking a specific moratorium over only zone changes in the New Harmony Valley, not for the entire county. I want to be very clear that this does not affect current zoning at all. If you have a current zone, you can develop. Your land use application will be processed in a timely fashion. Your building permits will be issued if you meet the code requirements that exist now. A temporary land use regulation can be enacted in your discretion if we're about to pass and consider a comprehensive zoning regulation change, and we would be at risk for receiving a complete application for something that might be the exact opposite of what's in the anticipated code that we're drafting currently. So right now we have a what is called an overlay zone proposed for the New Harmony Valley, and the map of that area in the county is attached to the ordinance. So what we're trying to do is just put a pause on zone change applications only for that area while we consider the overlay zone. The overlay zone has already gone through its first public meeting, which was a work meeting in February before the Planning Commission. We expect a few more work meetings and public hearings that will come forward related to the proposed overlay zone. This only lasts up to 6 months, and we can lift it and terminate it after we get the overlay zone considered, or at any other time that you would want to consider lifting the temporary land use regulation. We have long existing zoning issues and code deficiencies for this area, and it's coupled at the exact same time with great demand for development in this area and growth. We can fix this with the overlay zone, but we need to get it in place so that we could process zone change applications in an orderly fashion that consider the, more greatly consider the compelling public interests related to water limits in this area, sewer and septic limits, and nitrate concerns in the soil. You have the legislative discretion at this time to enact the temporary land use regulation pursuant to this ordinance, and we seek that enactment today. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Well, as you've mentioned, Victoria, this is for 6 months, 180 days. It does not affect any current zoning entitlements that you have. It's only for new zone changes. And so I think it's the proper thing to do. Mr. Chairman?
Call for a vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2024-1255-0, an ordinance establishing a temporary land use regulation moratorium on zone changes only in the designated areas on the attached map, generally described as the New Harmony Valley area, and only in its unincorporated area.
Mr. Chairman, I'll eventually second that motion, but I do want to just make one comment as well that I think this is the appropriate thing, given all the things that Commissioner Iverson just said, that Victoria already stated in this ordinance. But quoting Commissioner Iverson, who I think coined the phrase, but you know, we've got a very fast growing community. New Harmony is part of that. And I think you have to grow responsibly. We're not looking for no more growth. You grow responsibly without losing your soul, as Commissioner Iverson always says. And I think it's a good way to, this is a way to help preserve the soul of New Harmony, make sure that the government closest to the people governs best. So this is the actual residents of New Harmony that are coming to this, and what do we want the valley to look like? What do we want responsible growth to look like? And what do we want the future to look like in New Harmony? And how do we not lose our soul while still allow people to develop their land the way they want as it fits within the general plan? So I think it's a good thing, and with that, I'd second the motion.
Motion and a second. Thank you for your contributions. And thank you, Victoria. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Thank you. Our next item, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3281, a resolution approving the Council of Governments recommendations. Todd Edwards.
Thank you, Commissioners. Had a meeting with the COG on March 19th, and these are the recommendations that they've forwarded to you for your ratification. First one, Hurricane City requested $100,000 funding for their 1100 West corridor. That was unanimously recommended. Second one was for Ivan City, and they recommended $604,000 for the right-of-way at a roundabout location for Old Dixie Highway 91, Main Street, and the Western Corridor. There were two items of bringing money back to the COG. First one was to deobligate funds for $7,877.92 back into the Preservation Fund for the Apple Valley SR9 to SR59 Smithsonian Butte corridor. We had some leftover money on that obligation. Second one was from Washington County. It was to deobligate $24,444 to the Construction Grant Fund for the SR18 path between Vale and Central. These funds, as you know, come from money that we all pay for our registration on our vehicles, and it's anticipated to try to buy funding for roads just right away in long term, looking at items that we can purchase hopefully very far out so that we can buy it at a reduced cost and not have to take out buildings and things later when we have to improve roads. So that's the recommendation from the COG.
Todd, item 3 and 4 there, the deobligation of funds, would you also say that is the government returning money back?
Yes, it's given us another chance to put it to a good use.
So whenever anybody says that never happens, here we have two examples right there.
That's right.
There you go, Todd. I just want to call that out, Mr. Chairman.
So glad you did, yes.
However, it is one government returning it back
Let's
to
not
another
get into
government.
details, Commissioner Iverson, okay? That's not,
But it is money that we spent less of than we anticipated.
we didn't
needing
spend
to,
everything
so-
that we thought we were going to spend, and we're turning it back to be used for future.
That's right.
I move that we approve Resolution R 2024-3281, approving the Council of Government recommendations, so Commissioner Iverson quits getting into the details.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Is that like the husband comes home and he only spent $10 of the 20 and he gives it back to his wife? It's still family money. Gotcha. Well, it is a good precedence that they didn't spend it all.
We're missing the forest for the trees here.
Don't cut them down. All right, next, item
Well,
9.
there is a little bit of story there. The cities weren't returning that money, and then Todd and us, we got together and we started saying, okay, cities, we're going to ask you to give us an accounting for the money that you get from COG. And they've been a lot better at returning money. I think we've deobligated
Quite a bit.
a lot of money,
Substantial money.
which brings it back in to be used again. So it is a great point. So.
Yes, good job. On item 9, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3282, a resolution providing comment on Zion National Park South Entrance redesign project. Heath Hansen.
Yeah, so Zion has proposed to undertake a pretty significant redesign of their south entrance area. And in conjunction with that proposal, early last month, they released their environmental assessment, which opens up a 30-day public comment period. So I've gone through the EA and their proposal. In general, it seems like a pretty good project. It's going to build a couple of roundabouts right as you enter Zion National Park from the south side. They're going to replace the existing Watchman Bridge with a bigger bridge, provide some pedestrian underpasses to reduce user group conflicts. So hopefully it will kind of help mitigate some of the traffic concerns and reduce some user group conflicts. We do wish that the park had expanded their analysis. In the EA, they only provide one action alternative. I think the public would have been better served if the park had considered more action alternatives, given the public more things to consider throughout this project, given how significant the project is going to be. And also wish they had taken into consideration maybe an expansion of visitor parking lot there at the visitor center. So part of this project will be to expand the existing shuttle parking lot and the large vehicle parking lot and also the employee parking lot, but there is no consideration of expanding just the general visitor parking lot. So wish they'd considered that, and that's basically the sentiment that's expressed in the public comment that's been drafted and is before you today.
Very good. Appreciate all the work you do, Heath. And Commissioner Snow, both of you work very hard on this. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2024-3282, resolution providing comment on Zion National Park's South Entrance redesign project.
And I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Thank you, Mr. Timberlake. Item 10, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3283, a resolution approving a financial obligation agreement for grazing fencing at the Confluence Park.
Let's see, we have several people.
Casey's
Randy,
here,
are
but-
you also here to speak to this? We have Casey and Leon, and I know them, and so,
So I'm standing in for Cameron. How are you?
you're very good.
As was alluded in item 4, this
Speak
is...
right into the mic if you would.
Sorry. I'm a rookie, sorry.
You're good.
So, as stated in item 4 of your agenda, this was kind of brought up with those purchase requisitions. As you know, we have an agreement with Casey Lofthouse to farm our fields in Confluence Park, and he's doing an excellent job. In order for him to be able to do grazing, however, we need to address the fencing so that, those animals are contained. And so we come to you now with that proposal. He does have grant money that he got through the UDAF, which is an agricultural grant. So the agreement that was prepared for you is kind of to cover those grant reimbursements that will be coming through. Do you have any questions for either myself or Casey?
Yeah, I always have questions for Casey. So, are we going to be able to do both pastures around with this?
So we decided the best way to address the fencing in Confluence Park, because since 1996, when it first became a park, we've had problems with the fences from day one. There was several years there where we lost a lot of trees and they fell on the fences, and so then they stacked fences on fences, and the dirt blew and the sand blew, and then you have fences that have fence posts tied to fences and fences that are 12 feet high in one place and 6 in another. And so the totality of what you, on the budget proposal, on item number 4 was for the full amount, and our reimbursement obligation from the state of Utah Grazing Improvement Act was for a reimbursement to the county for $10,000 to cover part of the fence. So that would cover all of the fence perimeters on both pastures on both sides of Lavercan Creek, as well as we've decided that on the public facing fence along the walkways to do that as a 4-rail board fence, so that's similar to the traditional look that it's always had down there. And that's a complete removal and replacement of all the fences in Confluence around the pastures.
So we bid that out already, the 4-rail?
Yeah, we bid the 4-rail out. We did have an option for replacing that with just a wire fence. But the concern we had was where it was the public facing along that public corridor and that walkway and bike path, that we thought that it would be a safer alternative to do a full rail replacement. The posts that are there now are wood posts, but they're just rotten.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that section of fence, it's about 1,600 feet long, is the wind blows and you lose a 20 or 40-foot section, and then you go down there and it's laying in the walking path. And so we thought that that public-facing fence should be more of a decorative. And instead of spending like the money like we did at the fairgrounds on the really expensive steel fence or, you know, that type of stuff, where it was in Confluence Park, it more aligned with what they have in the master plan and the general plan for the park, is to be more of a, you know, a heritage style, kind of conducive to
Will
what
that
it's
be
been.
good enough for your animals?
Yes, absolutely.
Really? Even Leon's mules?
I think so. They're pretty wore out after last week, so.
Okay. That is true. He keeps them wore out.
Yeah.
So. Well, good. And what is the, with just going back to the wood, the one disadvantage to that is that it has a shorter life than
Yeah, and
the
so
steel fence.
I think there is a quote in there that we could make instead of doing the board fence, we could do a wire fence as part of that fence. But I mean, that's up to the commissioners to decide. We do have bids both directions that we could make adjustments. If you decided that 1,600 feet should be net wire fence or 3-strand or 4-strand smooth wire fence instead of barb. Our concern was just that where it's a walking corridor, that we didn't really want like a board fence. If you're riding a bike, yeah, you hit a board fence, you're going to bounce off. But if you hit a net fence or a barbed wire fence, you're going to have troubles.
Yeah.
So
But you only hit it once.
yeah. So, I mean, I ride my mules down past the turtle prison over there, you know, down along the river, and I always think one of these days I'm going to get tangled up in that razor wire on top. But so far I've been lucky.
Oh, very good. Well, Randy, as Cameron said, I mean, we do have the money in the budget. We've already approved it. And Casey, thanks for applying for this grant. I think this is going to be great. And it's something we've needed down there for,
Yeah,
like I say, a very long time.
We've worked hard on it, and it's coming along. It's just been a lot of work, and like you say, we've always had great support from the commissioners and the community. There's not a time we don't go down there where people don't corner us and say, hey, we're loving it. We love seeing the animals, the pastures, and the wildlife and different things that just those improvements with the green space and whatnot are bringing in. And so the restoration of the heritage value and the historical farming and ranching down there has been a huge benefit for the community, for sure. So
very good.
I'd like to address one of the concerns that we have heard multiple times, and that is that the north pasture that we have planted gets over irrigated by us leaving the irrigation on, and that is not the case. If you look closely, off the little Birkin bench, that 8-acre pasture and all that drains down past Jack Piper's house, and it into the pipe, and it comes out there just below the Water Conservancy District's pump house there, and it drains across the street, and that's washed out multiple times from the excess water on the bench, not from us constantly over irrigating it. But that's one of the concerns I keep hearing, that you guys need to turn that off because you're growing mosquitoes. It isn't us. It's the flood, it's the overflow from up on the bench.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll tell Sean to stop complaining.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to do something about those horse flies, though, deer flies.
They get bad up there.
All right.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution R-2024-3283, a resolution approving a financial obligation agreement for grazing fencing at the Confluence Park.
And I second that motion.
Say aye. Thank you, Randy.
Approved. Thank you. Item number 11, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3284, resolution approving TRT funding for marketing sponsorships and event funding for nonprofit organizations in Washington County.
Yes. So recently, our Tourism Advisory Board approved this funding. They're all nonprofit organizations, so I'll just read through it now. For the Silver Reef Foundation for printing and distribution of museum maps, $5,993.66. To Arts to Zion for printing and distribution of their gallery and museum maps, $11,055.45. That's for the marketing sponsorship for a total of $17,049.11. And then for event funding requests, we have the World Senior Games for the 2024 Huntsman World Senior Games for $55,000. Division I prospects for the Hurricane Heat softball tournaments for $6,000. American Fast Pitch Association for the 2024 AFS Nationals up to $18,200. The Film and Media Alliance of Southern Utah for the 2024 Desertscape International Film Festival for $2,000. The St. George Dance Company for their Red Rock Dance Festival for $2,900. The Red Rock Music Association for their Southern Utah Blues Festival for $10,000. And to Tuacahn Center for the Arts for their 2024 Broadway in the Canyon up to $75,000 for a total of $169,100. This money comes from TRT funding, which comes from visitors staying the night in hotels.
And this is also marketing money,
Yes.
right?
Great.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R 2024-3284, approving TRT funding for marketing sponsorships and event funding for nonprofit organizations in Washington County.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. I vote aye. Our next item, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3285, a resolution approving an interlocal agreement to partially fund the remodel of the Cox Auditorium with TRCC funding as recommended and budgeted by the TAB board.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome.
Yeah, well, gosh, it's nice to be here in your amazing new building. And before I say anything about this particular project that you'll be voting on today, I just want to say thanks to the commissioners for the amazing support of the university and our facilities out there. Of course, Greater Zion Stadium would not have happened without the support of you all. And the Human Performance Center, which this week, I mean, just today, we have 800 athletes coming in from all over that will be competing in a big swim meet there that can only be handled with a 50-meter pool like we have. These facilities really just would not have happened without your help. So I want to say thank you. It's a great partnership that we have with you, and these facilities are community facilities. And some of the biggest events that we have in the county right now happen right in that stadium. So just thank you for that.
Welcome.
Yeah, great. This particular project, and Sarah, thank you for putting that on the screen. I don't know if you have that on your computers right there in front of you. And I don't know if you've seen the rendering, but this request is for assistance in completely renovating what's now known as the Cox Performing Arts Center. This upgrade, let me just mention some of the things. The new space will consist of an attractive lobby. Those of you that have been into that lobby know it's more of a hallway. You can't really even visit in there. Larger and upgraded bathrooms that are ADA accessible, improved emergency exits, second floor reception and hospitality space. You can see there is a second floor there. That's what the tall light colored section is for. Second floor balcony for additional seating, lower level improvements to dressing rooms, green room, and utility areas. Improvements to the existing space will include modernized technical equipment, improved acoustics, and redesign of the seating arrangement to improve ingress, egress, and comfort to comply with current fire code standards. So that gives you an idea. For me, one of the most exciting things is just the way this is going to look. I mean, right now you kind of have that plaza that's not very attractive. This is going to be right on University Avenue or 7th East, and this is going to end up being a very attractive space where we can have indoor and outdoor gatherings and the gathering space upstairs, which will also serve as a practice area. I do want to mention that this project is really the ultimate private-public partnership. The Southern Utah Performing Arts Foundation, which really is the Heritage Choir and the Southwest Symphony, came to us and said, we would really like to have a home. Can we help raise funds for this facility and then call this a home? And so we actually have a memorandum of understanding with those two groups, which is, again, really their fundraising arm is under the Southern Utah Performing Arts Foundation. They joined forces with us, and I have to say thank you to Lowry Snow I point to you, I don't know why I did that, but to Lowry Snow, who was very instrumental in getting $28 million through the state legislature. And that happened a year ago when they actually had money, so that was great. So the major portion of this funding did come through the state legislature. And in this agreement, we have guaranteed dates for the Heritage Choir and the Symphony. So around Easter, around Christmas, the times of the year when they need to know that they have access to that facility. We also have times for them to practice and set up and take down when they have their big events. So this is a little bit of a sacrifice on the part of the university because we of course have lots and lots of university events there, but we felt like where this facility is the largest indoor performing arts center in the county, that we ought to do what we can for these organizations who have been here for literally decades. And so that's probably all I need to say. I'm happy to answer questions if you would like. We do feel like this facility serves not only Washington County, but the state of Utah, and outdoor, or not outdoor, but outside visitors to the area as well. And we showed data to you when we were making the presentation. So we really, really appreciate your support for this facility.
Well, just thank you so much. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I don't know how many years St. George did that study a few years ago where they were looking at different locations. They were even talking about a location by Town Square, the location on the hill up by, what is Tech Ridge. Really, I think everybody's kind of understood that we need a performing arts center in our community. And so for the university to step up and basically partner with the community and say, look, we can maybe renovate the Cox Auditorium, because it does need renovation. I think we all agree on that. Yeah. But just really turn it into something special and give, like you said, our symphony and our choir a home, give the community kind of one of these, really beautiful performing arts centers that we don't necessarily have. It's great, and the university has been fantastic at saying, look, we'll guarantee you some dates here, and because there's always been a little bit of a back and forth on how to get dates, how to calendar things, and you guys have been really open when you really didn't need to be.
To get their help raising the money, we did.
Yeah, well, that's true. But anyway, I think it's going to turn out to be something really special as far as a community asset. So thank you for your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R 2024-3285, approving an interlocal agreement to partially fund the remodel of the Cox Auditorium with TRCC funding as recommended and budgeted by the TAB Board.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Appreciate that. Thank you. Our item 13, lucky 13. Consideration of resolution number R 2024-3286, a resolution approving the renewal of an agreement between Washington County and Granicus for short-term rental address identification and compliance monitoring.
Hello.
Hi.
So this is our second year contracting with Granicus on this short-term rental situation. As you know, it's kind of a complicated situation. It's taken us a minute just to get established with Granicus and kind of figure out our best way forward. So we feel like we need at least an additional year and possibly two before we really know the full impact of having this program in place. Emerson in our community development office has done the most with this program and has really figured out the best ways to use it. And he's actually bringing together all of the different cities, the person responsible in each of their offices for short-term rental compliance, and is going to work with them on how they can utilize this service as well. So I think it will be something that will be utilized by not only the county, but also the cities within the county.
Yeah. Well, as we all know, we've had our hands cuffed for at least the last 20 years on how to find people that are really running a business and flying under the radar doing it. When other businesses pay taxes, have insurances that are, exorbitant on commercial properties, et cetera, and this is one way that obviously the private sector stepped up and said, we'll find them for you. And we'll do it legally, regardless of what your legislators may find. We'll do it in a legal way, and they have, and they're helping us. So appreciate that. Any questions or additions? Call for a motion.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brittany.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution R 2024-3286, approving the renewal of an agreement between Washington County and Granicus for short-term rental address identification and compliance monitoring.
I'll second that motion. I realized that I should have made that motion, but I thought it was your
I've done the
turn.
last three, so that's okay.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Before we move to this next item, I just want to say that during our public open meeting, that a couple is here from their delegates, and they're not visiting, but they're here tonight to learn more about how government works, and we applaud that. So thank you for coming. The Elliots, right? Okay. Glad to have you here. Item 14, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3287, a resolution approving a stipulated settlement in the matter of Intermountain Power Agency versus Property Tax Division of the Utah State Tax Commission.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is a settlement of a tax appeal case that's been pending for a few years now. As you know, Commissioners, most real property in the state is assessed locally by county assessors. Some property that makes more sense to have assessments on a state level is assessed centrally to the state. This case relates to some property that is centrally assessed. And so, for example, transportation and utilities and electrical lines make a little more sense to assess on a statewide basis. And so this is what this appeal is about, is the valuation that was assigned by the Property Tax Division of the state. This has been pending for quite some time. The parties in that case, and again, I should make clear that Washington County is a very small player in this appeal. We're affected a little bit. Other counties are affected a lot. And the parties in this appeal have reached an agreement as to the correct valuation of this taxpayer's property. The effect to Washington County is about $55,000 total to the taxing entities with our county. So it's not nothing, but it's not as big of an impact as you'll see in other counties. So we've reviewed the settlement and the stipulated value for the taxpayer's property, and we're recommending that you approve the settlement.
Very good, Mr. Chairman. You know, there's an advantage and disadvantage to having power plants in your county. The advantage is the power plants pay a lot of taxes. The disadvantage is they're usually appealed, and you usually have to give them some of their money back, and you have to rely on that. So I'm glad we don't, but at the same time, I guess we'll have to give back $45,000 here and different taxing entities in the county. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2024-3287, a resolution approving a stipulated settlement in the matter of Intermountain Power Agency versus Property Tax Division of the State of Utah Tax Commission.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Passes. Item 15, consideration of resolution number R 2024-3288, a resolution approving a request for grant funding under the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Operations Center program. Nicole.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. So with the ever-growing county and our population, we are in need of constructing a building that would house emergency operations. And our DC lobbyists are always looking out for grants and different things that will help out Washington County. And a few weeks ago, they did engage with us and let us know that there was a potential grant opportunity through the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Operations Center program. So we thought that this would be a great time to try to work towards a grant. So we got together, put the requirements that were needed, including a small sketch of what we thought the Emergency Operations Center would look like. If we are successful with this grant, it will be a 25% match from the county. And so that's why it is before you today, because there would be financial strain, 25% worth on the county. And I'm not really sure, we haven't figured that out of maybe how much could be the land. We were thinking of housing this at the sheriff's office. There's quite a bit of land out there and it seems to fit out in that territory. So we just didn't want to miss the opportunity. So we thought we'll put this on the commission meeting for your consideration to allow us to seek the grant. And then once, further steps are taken, certainly then it would be up for discussion whether, we can accept the grant or not, so.
And if we are successful, this is going to be an asset that'll be not only for our sheriff's office, but for all of our agencies here, probably in the region as well as
Correct.
the county especially.
Correct,
So-
yep. And our emergency operations center, it does help not only our county, the different municipalities, but it is a regional asset as well.
Okay.
Well, with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution R-2024-3288, a resolution approving a request for grant funding under the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Operations Centers program.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, consideration of resolution number R-2024-3289, a resolution approving a proposal from Landmark Testing and Engineering for inspections at the Boulevard Building remodel. Nicole.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, Commissioners, as you are aware, we are working on the interior of the Boulevard building. It's right across from Iceberg. That will house our federal courts as well as our justice court. And part of that, we do have to work on geotechnical on the county side. It's interesting for the geotechnical side. It's important that the county's always secured that under professional services so that any contractor that we have also secured, they have the ability to work with them on any material testing, special inspections, things like that, so that it goes through us so that they don't ever have to figure, well, maybe we don't need that inspection. It just really cuts it and makes it very simple that the inspections just happen according to the project. So before you today is this resolution and agreement that does allow Landmark Testing and Engineering to be secured for those special inspections and the geotechnical services for the Boulevard building interior remodel. And if you have any questions?
From the get-go was always a concern of ours, that when we very first began, what kind of building do we have here? Now we're verifying what we have as it goes in so that if there's any questions later, we'll have it tested and certified.
Right, so they do the, testing and soils report. All the testing comes directly to us. And then, we also tag it and allow it to go clearly to the contractor. But any kind of concrete, that's poured and things like that,
perfect.
It's tested all along the way so that we absolutely are aware of what's passing, what's not, and then we are allowed to, and then we have those conversations if there's a concern. So,
Yeah, and the contractor wants to know that too.
100%.
All righty. Motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve resolution R-2024-3289, approving a proposal from Landmark Testing and Engineering for inspections at the Boulevard building remodel.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That reaches the end of our agenda. Again, our thanks to those who put together the agenda, for our staff and those who have obviously been very thorough at making it happen. These meetings are rebroadcast daily on TDS cable channels 22 and 108 at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5:30 p.m. Also available on demand at youtube.com/community education channel. Appreciate everybody who's come today, and that's the end of our meeting.